As you guys are searching for ideas to present pitches for this quarter's magazine, I want to present to you stasis theory so that you can be thinking ahead about how to make sure that your argument idea is going to be balanced. So stasis theory helps us to break down the parts of a problem or an issue, and the reason that's important is because we want a complex problem. When we get into the writing stages, obviously, if we understand the complexity, we're going to be able to defend that idea thoroughly, and we'll deal more with these things later, but knowing whether or not our argument is balanced is going to help us to to figure out which elements to focus on most for the audience, and then we'll break our research task into parts. But most importantly, stasis has 4 parts, or you can think of this as there are 4 parts to an argument in order to help it maintain balance. So first of all, you need to prove to readers that there actually is an issue. A lot of times readers don't know that something is going on or believe that something is going on, and so an element of an argument, short or long, is convincing readers that there is a real issue going on. I'm sorry, let me go back. The one thing here that we're trying to avoid are topics that I like to call fun facts, or they're just informational. So it's a topic where all you're doing is telling people about something, but not really focusing on an exigence or a thing that is not as it ought to be and how we can fix it. Make sure that there is an actual issue within your pitch. Now this is a little bit more difficult to understand because it's so much like the fact layer of stasis theory, but essentially what you want to do next is try to identify what is the issue exactly. Is it an issue of law? Is it an issue of values? Is it an issue of psychology? What's the cause or the debatable cause behind the problem is one way to look at it, and see if you can scope out some complexity here as you are skimming and trying to find some pitches. Next, you're going to go into quality. So you've convinced readers that there is an issue. You've explained to them what the root or cause or nature of that issue really is. You've debated that out. And now you're going to get into what are the consequences if we do nothing. What's happening right now because of the issue that's really serious that we should care about. You know, a lot of times issues that are underdog issues have seriousness that we don't see. It's not in front of our faces. Like, you know, the clothing that we wear. A lot of it is associated with sweatshops throughout the world, specifically in Bangladesh. There are lots of people, especially women, dying in factories that aren't up to code. I'm sure you guys know this stuff, but it's out of sight, out of mind. So how serious is it really? Or I hung out with some people this summer who had never heard that our waste, like our trash and even our recycling, gets shipped to other countries to be dealt with. So sometimes you have to dig up what is the behind the scenes thing that is going to make somebody care about this issue. And lastly, policy. What can be done about this issue? Are there creative or interesting solutions that need to be considered and presented to our readers? Maybe readers already understand that there's an issue and that it's serious, but they just feel overwhelmed and they don't know what to do about it. In sum, those are the 4 parts of stasis that help us to think ahead and make sure that we're planning for a balanced argument, that we can see the pitch that we're making is going to develop in these 4 ways in order to have a full argument. There are a couple of things, though, that I want to emphasize before I end this and before you start diving into research, because I don't want you to make assumptions. So let me clarify. At Exchangers, the seriousness of the issue doesn't need to be dramatic. It doesn't need to be people are dying, the world is ending, or anything like that. Maybe the seriousness of the issue is merely something like we're missing out on the good life, or we're missing out on a joy or a pleasure that life has to offer, and we really need to watch more I don't know, old time movies, something like that. Like black and white film needs to make a comeback. Nobody's gonna die. There aren't people throughout the world suffering. Exchangers is about all kinds of issues, all kinds of levels of seriousness. So don't stress if you feel like the thing you're really excited about writing about doesn't have an urgency to it. As long as you can describe the seriousness in terms of, like I said earlier, we're missing out, or life has more to offer, or something more positively framed, you're going to be fine. Also, on this, what can be done about it? Sometimes the article topic itself is the solution. So the problem part of the article that you might write as a journalist isn't necessarily the bulk of what you're going to say. Maybe the bulk of what you're going to say is that we need to add this thing to our lives. Let me give you my favorite example. This is an image of a roller rink. We used to have one in Longview, Washington. It was called Skate World. And maybe Exchangers one of our journalists wants to publish an article about how devastating it is that we lost Skate World and kids need more to do, adults need more to do. Maybe there's adult skate or something like that. And that's your argument. So there's not a serious problem going on. Quality is low. It's not urgent. It's not life-threatening. But the solution itself offers so much joy and excitement and goodwill to the community, and that makes it potentially a great argument. So it's okay to look for things like this too that are like I'm trying to emphasize, slightly less dramatic or urgent, but still really essential and important for our readers.